Good afternoon, and how are you this afternoon? This is Delenn Russell. I just had an opportunity this afternoon for an out-of-band chance to play some Minecraft, so I figured I would offer the opportunity for people to come along for the ride. We are pretty much doing the same that we've been doing for the last few days, is still just hacking and slashing away at this level, trying to get down to level 70, which is visually down where those torches are. Now we've got some holes that are going to need to be filled along the way that are a little bit higher than that. I'm not going to fill all the way up to 70 from everything, but some of them, if I can reach it, I'll fill some gaps, just fewer monsters below. Yeah, so we have a few layers to go. I figured that I would take you guys a little bit along for the ride. Now we are low on picks because I used up a bunch this morning. I'm using my named favorite pick at the moment, so when that durability gets low, we're going to go back and do a little bit of repairing. But yeah, that's where we are at, and you guys are welcome. Unfortunately though, I'm going to pause for a second because I need to switch the music. I'm just not in the mood for what this is playing right now. I'm going to go with a little bit of chiptune and see what we got on that Fred today. Or Plinky Plinky, I guess. It'll do. It's not great, but it'll do. Yeah, that'll work. I'm gonna go with that. So, yeah, we're just here for some chill time, just some hangout, and a lot of diggy flatten out. I'm looking forward to getting a start on the art, especially after I watched an old episode of Time Team, where, if those of you who aren't familiar with Time Team, okay show, I don't know who originally paid for it, but earlier version of it aired quite a number of years ago, so I mean some of the really early episodes are ancient, as in like cell phones that look like a brick. But where we are... Okay. So anyways, long story short was last night's episode, or the one that my husband and I chose to watch on YouTube, off of the Time Team Classics channel, was an episode where they were looking for Roman mosaics. So, looking for little tile patterns and so on. And it got me really sort of wanting to get a move on this project, flatten out enough so we could actually start putting down some carpet, which is going to be interesting because the layout we've got, you can barely see the white border on screen. I'd love to go a little further. It's a little bit bigger than that. It's a pretty big zone that I want to flatten out because it's going to be a pretty big art. Just for reference, reference-wise, come on. So the art that you can see on screen now, just above my head, is what we're going to be putting down on the ground. So, actually, if I take that, grab the right space, drag this one, roughly, a bit wider, but roughly like that. We're going to be putting that thing down on the ground, but we have a little ways of clearing to go before we can get to that part. Alright, so, that said, you can see why I'm getting a little excited about it. We were dealing with a few pillager parties this morning when I was working on, and otherwise not much exciting to report. It is what you would expect from a project like this in terms of soothing if one likes the repetitive sound of block picking up, but otherwise generally quiet, and I can get into a bit of a mode of chatting without anybody really missing anything. It works well as a background for people, because you're not going to miss a whole lot on screen. So for those that are into that sort of thing, this is what you're going to like. Aha. And, oops. And I guess sometimes when I get into a bit of a mode, though, the biggest excitement we're generally liable to is that I will have forgotten to sleep in a bed when it gets night, or push the limit a little bit far, and then we have creeper issues. That's about it. I think the most exciting moment I've had here was probably a couple of creepers at, oh no, actually probably 3 creepers at the same time as an illager party and a couple of spiders. That exciting moment. Or when I tried to run face first into about 6 creepers as I was headed for the bed, which not as smart. Other than that, it's a lot of diggy diggy money money. Gives us opportunity to talk about other things. Like, for example, quiet, that's okay. For example, I've been wanting to know from people who up in a stream from time to time what their favorite thing is, and that triggered the idea of throwing in a question of the day. So, haven't really got a regular set question of the day yet, a new concept, but it works out well to sort of have a generic seed piece to start with, and then we can sort of see where conversation goes from there. A quick pause here and stick into chat exclamation QOTD, if I can spell correctly, and that can be put in by anybody. It's not limited to our mods. That one would actually come up properly. Like me. Okay. Commands, where did I put them? Question of the day. Here we go. OTP. What I actually had done on that one is I excluded the broadcaster by mistake. Yeah. Not so smart. Alright. Copy. Paste. Let's try that. So, here. The question of the day has been... Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay. The question of the day has been, what silly thing have you done recently that got you injured? And the reason that particular question of the day is relevant today is when I grabbed my second cup of coffee this morning, before I came down to streaming slot, I was in a rush and happened to realize that I had left another electronic device plugged in. So in the process of unplugging it, I did not realize that I was still pouring coffee. So I overfilled my mug, sloshed over, and it was very hot. But I burnt myself minorly. And nothing super exciting on that, but that was my dumb moment of the day that got me a very minor injury. And all it's done is got me a little bit of a slight swelling in my hand and itchy. About it. Yeah, so that was I figured was a reasonable question of the day. But I mean, there's other things people have done too, where, you know, they've walked into walls, or they just dumb little things like not watching where you're going and stepping on a kid's Lego and finding out that people don't kid when they say that Lego is like a pain threshold of 1 to Lego. 1 to stepping on Lego. Yeah, a little higher than most people expect. Right. But anyways, that's where the concept is going. This morning I got asked a lot about... Oh, finally got that low. Okay. Fine. This morning I got asked a lot about the bot that I use, so that's what distracted me quite heavily. I don't know why the question of the day is working, but I'm not going to argue with it. It is supposed to ignore the bot account. Probably would. Needs to work. So, I was just hopping around a little bit today and discovered that the afternoons are far busier with my streaming friends than I had originally expected, and that's pretty cool. I'm very glad to see people who are enjoying spending some of their time sharing what they stream with friends, online friends, I should say. Not everyone has the opportunity to be able to share them with real-life friends, or in some cases, in order to want to. A lot of coordination. But after watching that Time Team last night, I was quite interested and quite curious about what it would be like in Minecraft to try building Roman mosaic floors. The thing is, though, once again, you look at scale in terms of detail. While geometric patterns would work well, I don't believe that too much more would work, as detail is fine when it's like a 2.5 centimeter by 2.5 centimeter, by 2.5 centimeter by 2.5 centimeter block, like a 1 inch or smaller, and then that's fine. But when you're looking at something that we're talking like roughly a yard or roughly a meter cubic on the size of a Minecraft block in rough reference to the size of your character. So the idea of a mosaic done that large makes you think of like Grand Central train station, like that. Boring. Otherwise it just doesn't really work. And it's part of the reason that I think that people love to make heated pattern designs out of the glazed terracottas, and why they call them that I will never know. Because, yes, technically they're glazed, but they're glazed in pattern in a way that... That's okay. No, nothing has to make sense. Today is the day that a lot of players are starting to download, upgrade, and jump in to their various 1.19 instances. Some servers are updating right away, some servers are waiting to see how many bugs there's going to be. Some servers are trimming, others are not. I'm on one of the ones that is not trimming. But being quite blank, that aside from maybe mangrove products and fun things like mud, out of curiosity, 1.19 maybe from Frostlights, but 1.19 doesn't really hold a whole lot of draw for me. So, for my streams, they're going to be more or less business as usual. I have a little bit of a habit of being somewhat bullheaded on a project, to either barrel through and see it to the end, or to be stubborn in the opposite direction and quit a little bit early, probably earlier than necessary. So this one I'm in the former category where I'm being bullheaded, seeing it through, rather than derailing along with all the hype crews and heading to the new content. One of the reasons for that is, by choice, I don't fly. I have never had much success in the flight, whether it be Bedrock or Java, and I actually quite enjoy sightseeing of ground level, while at the same time I am a bit of a chicken, so that makes it difficult to take on some of the new content. Flight makes that a little easier, not just the new content, but in general travel, makes things a lot easier because not only is it faster, you're also way up higher, so you're out of the range of things like foes, explosions, and so forth. Whereas by sightseeing on the ground, of course, you definitely run through those ranges. So, in any case, I don't usually stream Tuesdays, and the reason for that is actually that my kids have soccer practice on Tuesdays, or my daughter does, and off and on we require my son to go and see his sister's practice, but my husband and I decided lately that we're going to make them go to their siblings' game, which is on the weekend. Both parents can watch the actual game, but for the practice, it comes down to this: by splitting the volunteer duties, I became the Scouts mom as a volunteer, and my husband became the soccer dad. Most seasons has volunteered as a coach. This season he's sort of semi-helping as an unofficial assistant coach, but more or less he's actually taking the season off. So things like assistant coach bench monitoring during games and stuff like that is actually rotating around through some of the parents. So it's not even required to have my husband there. But we just figure if there's opportunities where there's only one parent going, unless that parent is pretty busy, then we've split it up, that my husband does soccer and I do scouting. That provides some opportunities for streaming on unusual days. They don't make it to the posted Twitch channel schedule just because they're not a regular thing. This Thursday would have been one of the sort of more common off-stream slots, as in I'm working towards making Thursday things for myself, a regular stream thing, but cannot this week because my son will be moving up to the actual Scout level of our Scouts Canada in the fall, and so we're having what they call a linking night, where the youth moving up to Scouts in the fall are being invited up from their hub level to go and see what the Scouts do and learn a few Scout skills. And that's happening for us this Thursday, which is almost on top of when I stream. It's actually quite in the window of when I would want to stream, so means that I tried a different date instead. I still don't know what I'll be doing tomorrow, but if it's more of this, I don't know if I'm going to be on stream or off. Wednesdays are my whatever Wednesday, and I have been enjoying the Myst-related series of games, Myst, Riven, Exile, and so on, as a puzzle game series. However, I got a little frustrated with my derping around in the second game in that series, Riven, and so rather than derping around in circles, I actually had looked through tip sheets and still proceeded to blow it a little bit. So I got frustrated with the game. Did complete, however, didn't really want to go through failed endings this one, and pushed a little hard to complete the game. Just fewer streams than absolutely, or would have made more sense to more streams, which says to me that I need a break from that series. It's not a super popular one anyways, so I don't really think anybody's going to miss me. On that one, I don't have a whole lot of this series viewers that regularly return, so instead, my Whatever Wednesday breather, which is kind of funny considering I mine and craft, my Whatever Wednesday breather is going to be Valheim, so in a way, or I guess killing things, mining, and crafting. Sounds very similar. So, we'll see how much of a break that is, but it's one that's been intriguing me for a little bit because I do like the Norse concept they've got in there. And I watched a bunch of my son playing with my brother as a gift. My brother decided for his nephew's birthday this year that he was going to spin up a Minecraft, or was it last year I guess, but we spin up a Valheim server for the two of them to play on, and they get the chance to play sometimes. Not as much as either of them would like, but part of it is just that my brother is father of two, and one of those is a toddler, and the other one is less than one. So there's a lot of craziness going on that makes it really fun to plan when they can meet up. But I've seen enough of that, and we watched a bunch of Valheim Online, and seen some of the bigger Minecraft guys dip into it as a bit of a lark, and it looks kind of appealing, so I'm going to give that a shot on my Whatever Wednesday this week. But I figured if I take a day off for a Whatever Wednesday stream or two, then it means that I don't make progress on those. So, yeah, push it through. For some reason I thought I had something watching me. That's really weird, but there have been times where I forgot that I actually did sleep enough not to have phantoms. But then there's other times where I get into a mode and somebody else has been on the server and they've been sleeping, and I completely forget until the phantom starts attacking me. I mean, it's always 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Okay, these are getting left behind. Well, pardon me. Might as well take a nap and stuff. Got some more space working. You may see in the corner from time to time someone else popping on, and that's totally cool. I like having server mates around, so that's great. You can see at the top of my screen, partially blocking some of... sorry. I keep forgetting that I'm... Oh, okay. Partially blocking some of the markers. We have a label that says it's Dadcraft73 Patreon server, and yes, I'm on Dadcraft73 server for first. It's a great place to be. We have a great crowd, and people have quite a number of different going on. Everything. A lot of them were community builds at one point. Not all of them still are, but had quite a lot of really good builds to work with. And that means to practicality of it is items that where some of the builders have said go big or go home. So we have a gentleman who goes by the name of Stoner Miner who plays on this as well. And he's there's some of the more unique farms. Like, I didn't even know it was possible to have a shulker farm when he built one. It was that state. Oh boy. I'm starting to think that we are low enough that it is probably worth bringing the... Oh? Hop up. Take care of putting stuff away. And take down the beacon. Move it. I have a few more levels to go, so... Well... Refresh. makes things feel like it works, like they reach out further, even though that really isn't. We made some progress. We started down up at, I believe it was 93. So, not 93. Yeah, I think it was probably about 93, but we weren't a whole lot larger than the base of this beacon when it started. So, I mean, we've made some progress. We're down below 80s. I only want to go down to 70, so that's large, but it's not that bad, because a lot more of the spaces are lower. All the way across what you see is leveled in terms of the ground level is pretty much the same. So bad news, I guess, in that respect is the more levels we take down now, the larger base each level is going to be. So it's going to feel slower. That's always a drawback, but you can't win it. Right. Start at the top. I will admit, though, from up here, you got great view. Beautiful view. Oops. I had debated spending a little bit of time puttering around my raid farm, but most recent test of the raid farm is that raid farming angle in terms of speed is just a joke. It's not that there's anything really wrong with it. It's actually a lot of it is builder error. So, you know, it's one of those live and learn. It functions when it wants to. And I make derps, not when I want to. But on the other hand, it could be far worse. But it's definitely not something that's really critical to show on stream. I may do so. Need ourselves a break here. And I'm still looking at what sort of project I want to have coming up towards the end of the month, because once a month Dad Crafts crew of the Patreon server players tends to get together for a stream weekend. Now, we've been doing this since January. I really do wonder how long it's going to keep going before people claim they're tired out. I don't think I'm tired out, but once again, it falls into the category of bullheadedness, in terms of I could probably go to the I keep expecting it to peter out. In any case, with that, yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what I would want to do for this one, such that we would actually be able to get there in time. If it's just this project, and I don't know at what stage by then, I'd love to be able to build another picture, either before or during those weekends. But get these next levels down, that's not going to be the case. Now, while that seems early, when the space that you're expanding gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it feels challenging. The size of this place, the size of this place is actually 150 by 150. That's great. When it's flat and same material, you can just start ripping through. Most of the time, I'm using a pick with half decent efficiency on it, and of course you can see I've got the beacon. But I don't have netherite tool. Just I've never yet mined for the netherite to do so. Second piece of that is that, of course, netherite tools are not netherite tools and time are expensive. I have a trading hall, so we're going to be seeing a little bit of the inside of that today. But you know, as you can imagine, unless you're spending books on every pick or spending time and resources and whatever finding picks, you're going to end up with, at best, like efficiency 2, really is what I came up with on mine. And then so you're combining them. And there's the whole world involved in that. The one thing about the trading hall we're going to see is that it, none of the villagers were zombified and cured. That was a purposeful choice. I did not do it because, well, initially I'd never done it, but actually the reason I've never done it was just because I felt that it just seemed artificial. It's artificial enough as it is, without having no really no cost materials. So I felt that if I was going to have a villager trading hall, I was going to leave it uncured, so to speak, so that I would at least have some sort of feel that I did something in order to earn materials I was trading. Or trading for, I guess. It's a silly concept, but it works. Not critical. And this isn't meant to be, or the fact that the beacons are all done out of emerald blocks is not meant to be a flex. That was actually, a large part of it is a result of a bookshop that I built on practice. And that bookshop, of course, needs filling. And initially, some of the books that I wanted to fill the shop with, I did not have a librarian for. So those books actually were somewhat expensive at lower level and then combined together. So you end up with excess emeralds at the time you're looking for the experience to be able to do the book combines. That's how, in a beacon of many green blocks, came out. Just a quick look and see. Yeah, this is closer to go horizontally. That neck a little far down, not for falling, but just in terms of these that want to come out and say hello. Be able to line down decent. Start this right on the corner. Under. Nope, does not go under from here. Okay, we're good. Right over by this. Now, this is probably not quite the middle, but it'll do. And for those of you that have been here before, I don't know if there's a whole lot new in this particular project, but as soon as we get to the point where we're actually ready to start putting pictures in, then there'll definitely be comms available in Twitter. And oh, okay, well, my thing really hates me today. I'm just going to quit. Oh, there it is. No. More time. Again? Oh, not like me. Okay, well, put down the bot and see if it's going to cooperate. Up after. Usually, it does not like to be running after OBS has been started, but sometimes, if it's going to choke, where are you? Nighttime, of course, it would be. Anyways, where I was going to go with that conversation was to say that when we're ready to put in picture, we'll be able to have it posted. Posted in Twitter in addition to other locations. Yeah. Just to make sure everybody's well aware of what's up. I think that's the one. Nope. So it does not like me. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it today. Socials, we'll just do it. Delay. Socials will be basically take Delenn_Russell and throw it in Twitter or YouTube, and that's find me. If you choose that you would rather email me or hit me up directly, I believe it's Delenn Russell, possibly with an underscore. Oh, I think it is with an underscore. from Discord as well, so feel free to DM. If you want an email, it's take out that little underscore, so Dylan Russell, all word, and put in at gmail.com. Yeah, there's plenty of ways to tag me. Yeah, that's the short run. So when the picture starts happening, we'll be posting some progress pieces as we go and making a bigger deal out of it. But during the flattening process, not much to see here. So I really enjoy it when people come, but I prefer it for the conversation opposed to anything else. And if it's quiet, it's quiet. You know, that's how it goes. Because who know me in person know that once I get full, I can definitely talk. So it's not like people who are hanging out need to feel obligated to say anything. Working is more than what needed. Just your presence as a number. That may sound cheesy, but as a number, still gives me a bit of an attaboy. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I appreciate every one of you, whether you're live or lurking. Some of the most recent big names, well, bigger than me, so I guess that's not saying. But some of the recent names that have popped in the follow list and helped push me up to, I believe it's 67 now? Well, 65, I haven't counted. But some of the bigger names were people like, had Firepower drop in, we've had Once in a Blue Moon, I think I had Groova lurking at one point. That one knocked my socks off. I've had Lark to Bird popping in. Yankee Hamster dropped in recently. And then we had a recent follow from, well, I'm gonna get Leaf's Life, I think it is. I know them better by Poppy. So, as a co-follower of the Dadcraft 70 community. That's how I know. There. You're a little slow. What the heck? Okay. Where did I? Chest in bed and what? Start on the outside. I'm going to move it. I found myself singing along the other day to in YouTube in Spotify. Thank you. Found myself singing along to the work in Spotify before I suddenly realized that I had made an oopsie-daisy on that one, and that I not been singing along to that one because I should not have been streaming that one. So it took a while to realize that that I had to like freeze it and start over again. So I was a couple minutes late. I want to get myself up for copyright issue. Generally I don't use like actually any words to it, really, just so that I can't get caught figuring that one out. But on the other hand, I actually kind of like gaming music. That sounds good, but it's not. Because different people's definition of what is gaming music is. Hello, Benson. How are you doing today? I'm glad to see you drop by. That's appreciated. 5. We were doing a lot of the same sort of diggy that you made the other day. We're making some progress. We're down at 81. So one could argue 9 more levels to go. They're going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but at least the beacon is a little bit more centered, and I have a couple of visitors on the way off to the northeast. There's 3 of them now, so I'm going to have a little bit of a villager party. Villager party? Yes. Nice. Not a hassle yet. We're going to take it down a little bit more. I filled in a little bit of the bottom nearby so we can where 70 is as sort of a mental target to see if we're getting any closer. I am doing half decently, actually. I'm surprised I'm in as good a mood as I am. I was shopping around yesterday for supplies for a craft for our Cub Scouts. And the Cub Scouts... There we go. The Cub Scouts shopping reminded me that I needed I wanted to get back to stuff like bullet journaling just because it felt like there was some purpose to what I do, my to-do lists, and also a bit of a reminder that when I don't do something, that it takes effort to roll it over as a way of sort of nudging me to do things. I just have to be careful this time around that it doesn't take up quite as much of my time before. Got to figure out another way to speed up what I was up. Life doesn't have beacons, much as that would be wonderful. Yeah. Short of it. This. Good. Dexter's back. That's the beacon box. The name on the beacon here, Dell's 221B Beacon Street, is courtesy of Zerk, I believe. The Zerks are the wonderful donors of the beacons. Yeah. I suspect it's partly because sometimes I have a bad habit of using not fully efficient tools. And so, yeah. I learned the hard way. I mean, these ones are unbreaking too, so it's not horrible because they're at least diamond. But it has been worse. I have mined sand on stream with a stone shovel. I learned that was not appreciated. And I can't blame people. I mean, I'm not sure how long I could watch that. On the other hand, two things come to mind is one, I don't control efficiency, like high efficiency tools very well, especially with beacons. That's part of why I'm not too bothered that I don't have another right tool. But that said though, it does mean that everything goes a little bit slower for everyone. And, yeah. Unless you're looking for the rhythmic thud 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 of things being mined, not going that well. And I always strip mine, as in literally go back and forth. Usually in layers, though sometimes I'll get little tiny vertical strips, like, you know, when you're branch mining underground. But that's just because a lot of the circular stuff that some do where they can actually go really quite quickly, I just can't handle that because it actually makes me feel physically nauseous. In order to enjoy the game, go back and forth and back and forth. Occasionally, if I think it's a small enough area, I'll do side-to-side sweeping motions, but that's not super common. Got a little bit of a side-to-side motion here, because I've got just this tiny island of dirt out on this end, and I might as well just get rid of that while we're here. Run into flattening rather literally, that there's a tree on the level I'm standing, so, you know, nothing super exciting, but that's probably going to be there and cause me a bit of a fake for a while, until I get to the next layers where I take down the other trees. That becomes overhang for mobs. My texture pack today, I seem to play musical texture packs, is I'm using one called Stratum. I believe it comes from the website, and it's supposed to give some really, really realistic patterns to the, so that's why dirt looks like kind of muddy, grass looks kind of bland and a little bit like AstroTurf, stone looks like, well, stone. I'm not running a shape with it, but you can see that I played with quite a number of them, so some of them have different things. Like, for example, I could go with, for this one, Project Luma would look pretty good. Complementary looks good. Those are my two favorites right now. I like Luma for its reflective puddles when it rains. I like Luma for that, but the complementary shaders after it rains, if you slept away a rainy night, and the next morning it's got a rainbow. And I thought that was kind of cool. A bit cheerier. But I do play around with various different texture packs. Some of them look pretty good, and some are really good. I was using a Creator texture pack for a while, and that was one of my favorites last season when I was playing on Bedrock far more. But the Creator texture pack, it's great. You know, it has its thing, but it's a little bit goofy in some areas. The other thing that threw me was that Creator texture pack, like the Compliance textures, which is another one I'll often use. Compliance is fairly similar to vanilla, I mean, it's got its variety, but it's fairly similar, which means that that people have added extra variety skins for some of the mobs, not all of them. And some of those variety skins have actually caused me a bit of jump scare here and there, because I didn't realize that I had a creeper on my tail because it wasn't creeper colored. It wasn't green that I expected. So yeah, that's posed a minor problem. But one of the other things is that this one, most of the ores you can see are just like blending in the way that you would have to expect. But they don't have one for the copper. I don't know why, because this was around for a while. Copper looks still very pixelated, kind of janky, but it's very standoutish, the rest of it. But also some of these ores actually do almost have a bit of a glow to them, which makes them stand out quite a lot if I'm using the complementary shaders with any packs. But I like that combination. And I don't know why this one leaves look quite so bizarre, but it does. To argue with that, most of the time the leaves are pretty cool when it's got like that. It can be a little bit janky when you're trying to figure out where the edge of something is, and the extra little stick out edges have on occasion caused me a minor challenge finding the edge. But it's annoying when you've got a silk touch axe and you don't particularly, that's me being fussy. What I like to do from time to time is go through some of the websites available, and just take a look at the various different sets of realistic textures, or some of the cartoon textures. I like a lot of the sort of more medieval themed cartoon textures. They're effective and good time. One of the funny things that I have on occasion had out here is, of course, an Enderman will pop up. Not too many of them, but once in a while. And so it's always amusing to have the rain come down because, of course, it makes them disappear, but also I'm poodling along, grabbing stuff, and the Enderman will pick it up ahead of me. That one's on. I missed one. Level I should take down. Oh. On, keep it. So Benson, do you keep forgetting, you've told me this before, but I can never remember. Which flavor of Minecraft do you prefer most? I know you and Lyric play. You guys do Bedrock, or do you guys do Java more commonly? I was under the impression it was Bedrock, just because I haven't seen Lyric around a lot, but I could be wrong. Part of the reason I ask is because the Creator Pack, I believe they have a version available for Bedrock as well, but as far as I know, the Stratum one doesn't. Yeah, Java versus... Actually, and then a second question to that is, what platform do you play on? Because I prefer PC, quite clearly. However, when I started, I guess I technically started, well, a little bit on what was Minecraft for iOS, so like Pocket Edition, I think they called it. I started out on an iPad, didn't stick around there, I went to really quickly. Went straight into modded. That was my bigger introduction to Minecraft, was actually modded. But, not modded to make it easier, actually. It was one of the SevTech packs, so it was gated Minecraft, which meant you had to do a lot of stuff to get to the next level. Now that relates is that, pardon me, is that I vaguely do wonder what people want to play. Oh, I see. Okay, looking in... Bedrock's hard on your hands due to Switch. So you're saying you play on the Nintendo Switch then? I mean, you could even look into Bedrock for a PC if that's hard on your hands. I actually have not yet got the hang of playing Minecraft on a controller. I would like to, because that would give me far more flexibility with what I do. But yeah, got the hang of it. I've got, well, technically it's access to having one, but I've got access to one of my kids' Xbox controllers. They don't actually own an Xbox, we just use them to plug into the computers. But I haven't managed to get being able to play these games on a controller. I know there are plenty of other people in this community who do play with a controller. I would like to. Ah, yeah, okay. So I mean, rather than changing up the mechanics in addition to Word, they want to look into Bedrock for PC. I mean, now that apparently starting the today, that you own a license to one of them, you freely play either version, Bedrock or Java. That you could actually just start with the Bedrock one, and then you wouldn't necessarily have to fork out again for another license for Java if you want to try that one later on once you're comfortable. Because there's little things that catch you off guard every once in a while in terms of differences in mechanics between the two. It's not just redstone, or it's not just swiping and what you can put in your offhand, and like you can't spam your sword in Java. It just doesn't work. Also, there's advantages to not doing so anyways, like sweeping edge, so there's like a bit of a timer. I'm not gonna hit this guy, but you can see a little, they'll use the pig, you don't move as much. Unless you become wolf. You can see there's a little sword underneath the crosshairs. And Java's got that, Bedrock does not. That's partly related to bonus damage. So it's one of those things that it took me a while to figure out mechanics advantages. Blame you. I actually have arthritis. It runs in my family as well. I'm sorry to hear that yours is set on earlier. That's really pleasant. I can also understand too that if you're playing a game that may make you tense at times, Minecraft can do that if you get wound up about whatever it is you're working on. Then it could actually get you to tense a lot. One of the perks I find to playing on the keyboard is that my hands, even if they get tense, they're more tensed in a great finger position, which tends to make me less sore in that sense. I don't fully understand what you have to deal with when you're playing video games, but I can understand that things could be like that. The arthritis in my family tends to run more toward appearing first in knees and shoulders, and then eventually it'll move on to hands. But nobody really knows how quickly it'll get into the hands, because for those where that was actually an issue, they were part of a farming family quite extensively. So none of us really know, for those of us who aren't farmers, how quickly that's going to affect us. Yeah, if you can do it more open-fingered, I do it. Apologies to everybody for the number of nose scratches you're seeing. I've got some seasonal allergies going on that aren't making my nose drip, because of allergy meds and all that help. But that doesn't mean the underside of my nose, or the end of my nose in particular, like on the outside edge, seems to get a really bizarre skin itch, almost like I've got a long hair or something, the way that keeps tickling it. And I just can't seem to make that go away. I'm not quite sure why. I've even tried like moisturizers and stuff, but it goes away. So, provided that it's not dripping, I don't usually have a problem, a bit of a scritch on the end, but that may unsettle people. Problems with that sort of behavior. I just want to apologize in advance. Oh, I've heard of Ehlers-Danlos, but I've never pronounced it correctly. I never actually met anybody who had it. Years. Strange enough, I used to know somebody who had a combination of that and fibromyalgia, which made life really interesting, because they would never disappear. Like, relief just isn't a thing. So that kind of stinks. Makes me think of someone else. Give me just 1 second, I'm gonna try a tissue and I'll be right back. it's odd. Just the other day, I was extolling the virtues of wearing one of the, I guess, popular for COVID cloth masks. Not for COVID, but because during that period when we were required to, it was actually the best allergy season I'd had in years and years and years. But the thing is, even though that we're sort of more culturally accepting of that so that it doesn't get called out as frequently, I unfortunately have a bad habit of not remembering to wear a mask, so I forgot to when we were at an outdoor event for our Cubs and last night. Yeah, oopsie daisy. My bad. Oh, andesite. Ew. Ew. First time I've had andesite pop up in here. That stuff. I mean, I'm not anti-andesite, it's just like... And that... That's a weird looking rose. That white bull. Oh, right. I didn't do it! Sorry. My daughter, who goes by Sheep Queen, would have had an issue. I mean, not an issue. Like, probably better way of putting it. Because she is very much pro-sheep, anti-destructive sheep. Gets quite annoyed when so there's wolves in the area, and they're the ones that off the sheep. Not make her happy to see floating around the spoils of that sheep destruction. Can't blame you. I don't know about Twitch being able to, or sort of causing a lot of issues, like the easiest way to release that, but I really do hope for your sake that you're able to enjoy the time you do have while you're playing. I recognize that you don't always get as much playtime as you want because things stiffen up and get uncomfortable. And I mean, when you're not able to play, you know, you're able to find enough conversation and interest from other people who play to help cover off the times where you're just unable to play. And also on the other side of it, I also admire you for being able to survive the shenanigans of some of people in the Dadcraft Discord server, particularly one of them, well, particularly Lyric, who I gather you deal with their shenanigans a lot more frequently than everybody else on the planet. And, yeah. It's just, sometimes it's tough when you've got somebody who's really into something. They introduce you to it, and people can get all fired up about it, and then we can't do it as much as we like because of self-issue. I had that issue with dance for a long time. My knees and stuff would get really sore, almost as though I had, like, peaked it. No twerking here. Far too family friendly for that. But almost as though I twisted my knee, and that would just make me really sore after dance evening. Frustrating just because I couldn't dance as much as I wanted to. So, that's the closest I can come to in commiserating. I can't claim to say I understand, because there's no way we really could, and so that I understand would be hollow. Possibly rude. That depends on your point of view. Oh boy. Allergies. Trust me, get away from them. Best. Although I will admit I'm still snickering over one of our fine Dadcraft community, Arch Thunder, who was with a puffy-eyed mouth breather for a while, apparently, which just sounds all kinds of creepy. Not the puffy-eyed part, but the mouth breather part, even though all of us with allergies totally understand why. I'd probably rather be a mouth breather than fidgeting, because just tickle incessantly. Oh, bizarre segue, totally unintended. We have a couple of new-ish features in commands available. I believe they're available to all users from the stream bot. And so we can now do things like high-five somebody, or flip a coin or some things like that. So if you guys want to see what commands are available to any user, feel free to type in !commands. If all goes well, what it should do is give you a list of commands that your user level has access to. So at the moment, the only user levels we have is everybody viewer, like public command, or moderator commands, and they're not really marked as A or B. It's just depending on who runs the !commands command, you'll be able to see what you got there. That's where we're at with that one. I'm constantly trying to play with the commands button. Give us some fun stuff that we can do. This one allows us to do things like to boop somebody on the nose, I think, and the most sketchy one we've got is the ability to tickle somebody, but it doesn't come up with a crude response to that. It just says that you tickle the person incessantly, which I thought was kind of fun because among friends, that's usually a relatively safe thing to be doing. So in theory, I could, well, theory, I'll just do this one because he's not here. Oops, Rickle. I can't spell. L-E. Of course, I picked the longest name under the sun for the demo. Let's see if this actually works. Yeah, there we go. So I can tickle Fantastic Sherlock Fox mercilessly. Yeah, and that's about as sketchy as it gets. There were a couple other options on there that were a smidge more sketchy, but something basic like a pat on the head, which isn't necessarily sketchy. It was just more, I thought it was questionable in terms of whether or not it would be taken appropriately or whether or not the person that you do it to would be offended, because sometimes comments like that can be used in a sort of a pat, oh, that's okay, in the version of like a brush off, sort of have an issue, here's a tissue type of thing. And that was not the intent, so I figured it would be taken that way. Pardon me. I'd be taken far too seriously, far too frequently. So I temporarily disabled that one, but I mean, we can always put it back. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to cop to Lyric being your twin or not, but, you know, I'm okay with, or I'm relieved now that you've said that. And sometimes I'll say something goofy that's not necessarily directed per se, but I'll say it to Fantastic Sherlock Fox, and then people will clue in it's actually my other half, as in, like, he's my husband. So, things will be said or whatever, we'll be in the same room, and then, you know, a viewer or a streamer will be like, oh, you two are, yes. Yes, we are. 1 second, this pickle is driving me crazy. Okay, I'm doing well for now, but we'll see how long it lasts. Oof, why? Crazy, I may end up having to talk to Fantastic Sherlock Fox about whether or not we need to take another run at checking the furnace filters, see if they needed to amount of pollen floating around. But in case. So yeah, it's quiet here, but that doesn't mean much. I was thinking about you the other day, Benson, in a good way, because I was watching, after our conversation about old TV shows, I was watching old episode of Time Team, because I like watching those like archaeology type shows, and then afterwards I was thinking about just old shows in general. That took me over to thinking more about like Carol Burnett and stuff, which I thought was kind of an interesting segue that we'd had. Just because I'm not used to anybody under the age of 60 having any clue about that. So that just maybe the people in my real life circle have no clue. I still have people in my real life circle who don't properly know how to run a phone. And I mean, like smartphones these days are some that are smart, but absolute basic functions like how to make a telephone call are things that I would assume somebody would know by default. And then I get a reminder that that's not always the case anymore. For youth, it means that they can text or even dictate a message rather successfully. Whereas for older people, they're better at telephoning. But for really young youth, like my kids, for example, they're all kinds of awkward as soon as you hand them a regular, like what I would consider a regular telephone. So as in, we have cordless phones around the house, just a number pad on the front, and you dial your number and you phone, and it's nothing too exciting. So I thought, okay, well, just an assumption. When an aunt or an uncle called and they wanted to talk to the kids, I would just hand them the receiver. That makes sense to me, right? I didn't even clue in that, aside from our kids not having their own phone because they're not even teenagers yet, they don't talk on the phone, particularly because of COVID. Went through that phase where just about every conversation was a big family conversation over some format of video conferencing software. Or it could be like a FaceTime, Apple, or a Google Meet or something similar. And so it didn't really dawn on me that they've never really had much in the way of regular telephone calls. And my son in particular is quite introverted, so he would have had no interest in calls. He doesn't keep up with his email, but he likes texts and emails instead. Text monster a little bit on his iPad. And it had never occurred to me. And then he actually told me that at one point. I handed him the phone and said, I'm not really comfortable with this. Next time this person calls, can we have a FaceTime instead? It wasn't that he didn't want to talk to them. It was just simply that he felt without the rest of the input, like body language or facial expression, felt lost. He didn't have enough information. So I find that odd, but I guess in a way that might explain part of why he prefers, but when he's watching over my shoulder, that he's more likely to watch over my shoulder if I'm watching a streamer who actually has a face cam. And I think it's just because he likes that feedback when the person responds to whatever it is they're currently seeing. But it was just something that hadn't occurred to me, because we jokingly talk about how millennials don't know much about old technology. Well, that's not the case. We've got people far younger than millennials still have no clue, because we're even worse at showing them. Technology has changed so much that there's a lot they can do without ever interacting with the device. So Benson, do you guys have any smart devices? It's just pure curiosity. Do you guys go get into either the Apple Home thing, or like with Siri, or you guys get into the Amazon thing, or you guys bought into Google Home soon? Just oddly curious. The same question goes for anybody else actually in chat too. Does anybody here have smart home in any way? We have far too much of a smart home somewhere. Originally it was because stuff was on sale. That's part of what happened. And then some things came with elements of smart built in, I guess we could say. And so because the smart built in, or it came with if you bought a regular sized Google Home for a while, they were coming with the Google Mini. Because at some point we have exceeded 10 devices, I think we're at 11 or 12 now, of the Google Home devices. And then other than that, I'm a PC user, my kids are PC laptops, but frequently prefer the iPads because that's how my husband puts it. It just works. Or it's the preferred platform for things that just work. Whereas I did tech support for a few years before kids, and liked it, but it meant that I got the experience with PCs that my kids just took, and I became a person who likes to tweak settings. Everything Apple at home, except home, and have an Amazon Alexa. Cool. That's pretty neat. We used to have smart outlets. We had a couple of them that ran over our lamps, but unfortunately they went over to Apple from being Google compatible, so we have moved them from, you know, bit of a shame really, but it got us to be a little bit wiser about how we did things. So I've had the question, that begs the question then, because we've gone Google, and I know Alexa had some problems at one point. Do you guys ever have issues with Alexa just randomly answer you when you've asked something, whether or not you actually asked Alexa to answer you? I know it sounds awkward when I'm saying things. I'm actually not going to use proper full wake phrases. Just I don't want to trigger your device. Yes. I can't blame you on the whole life-saving thing. I can see that. For years, we'd actually talked about trying to convince some of our older extended family members look into Apple Watches, whether it be for heart rate issues or fall detection issues, but also even just simply the ability to, when we're out and about in large gatherings, sometimes it's convenient just to be able to have them not necessarily have to keep up with the group if they're a slower walker, and then we can still use the walkie-talkie type function for Apple Watches. So that's one of our favorites. I'm very glad to hear that it did a good job for you. For your own privacy reasons, they're not going to ask what had happened, but I'm really glad to hear that it worked well for you. Just curiosity, which model did you go with? I've had 3 Apple Watches now. Like I'm on my 3rd. Now that sounds crazy, and it kind of is. Not about affluence in any way. It's more that Fantastic Sherlock Fox likes other people and has trouble shopping for himself. So over the years, a few times, when he would get a half-decent bonus from work, and it was just a bonus, because I mean, he busted his tail for that one, he would like to do something fun for himself or fun for me, and so I managed to get an Apple Watch when they first came out. And it wasn't just Series 1, it was like Series, well, if you had to name it, it'd be like Series 0. So I had that one, which, Apple being Apple, when they came out with some of the later ones, they started giving series numbers. What was practically Series 0 got dropped off the updates radar really, 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 really fast. Couldn't even get notifications from other apps on it anymore. That was just very frustrating. I went from that to Series 3, and now is Series... I can see that would be really useful for her, for heart rate. I mean, it's not necessarily deemed a medical device, but it's definitely enough of a... got enough accuracy to it that it would at least throw a warning flag to get you to check it, get you to check into things other way. So yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sorry to hear that you're on a heart monitor. On the other hand, I'm really glad that you were able to catch things early. Right? That sometimes wearable tech like this, while not perfect, I'd rather have a false positive than have a tech that could have possibly caught something, but instead it was a false negative. When you miss something important. Series 7 is my favorite right now. I mean, not just that it's new, but went a little bigger, and I was quite worried that going physically bigger was going to look awful, particularly on a woman's wrist. I mean, I have fairly large wrists, so that wasn't super critical, but I'm fairly liking the way they did the new one. The dictation is far more reliable than I was getting with Series 3. 3 was kind of janky, and they didn't have enough juice in the processors at the time. Pardon me. But 7 is definitely a world apart from that. Not to mention there's actually apps in there to watch. For those of us that can use it on a small screen, there's apps that make the watch very, very useful on their own. And then there's plenty of things one can do with it that I don't even think to do with it. Wow. Mine keeps getting mad at me for my blood oxygen levels. Part of it is just because your VO2 drops when you're active, so it doesn't like the fact that I sit. and I prefer to curl up in a ball frequently. I'm stretched out right now, but I have a habit of slouching in underneath the desk. I've got my knees kind of up. I tend to be one of those people that sleeps in a pseudo-fetal position on my side. So yeah, I get in all kinds of trouble for that because, well, you're going to have bad circulation, and I do. And the result of that is just that my watch keeps complaining at me, you have bad oxygen level, and then later on it goes, oh, well, you're back to normal. It's just because I haven't curled up in such a weird way that I messed with the circulation for a while, so everything drops, and when I start stretching out and getting things moving properly again, it shoots back up. So mine's a little oversensitive, but that's just because I don't have serious concerns. But I'm really glad that it's something that you can do, because previous years and previous generations, to be on all the things that you're dealing with, and would be, you'd have like 3 or 4 different bands for different things, either under your shirt or wristbands for various things, all the way up your arm, or little meters you're wearing on your belt that have other wires connected to them and stuff. And it's really nice to be able to have technology that's less intrusive than that's critical. So I mean, things that can be done as games, like I know one of the things I get a kick out of, I am not using it, but one of the reasons I picked Spot I have, even though every once in a while it crashes, is that it's got integration with things from my games that are kind of fun. But I heard a story the other day about Spot I've got. It's got integration with a couple of different heart rate services. So as your heart rate goes up as a result of what you're doing in gaming, sort of thing, then it can trigger different things happening in the game. The story I'd heard another day was someone who had an arrhythmia and a racing issue was doing that, but basically it was actually, they chose to use it as a way of getting something to pop up on their screen, like noises, while they were playing and streaming, that just told them to take a stretch, do some deep breathing exercises, whatever it was that they were able to do to try and bring their rate back down again. And that actually a couple of times saved them from passing out on camera. So, there are ways to use even the toys we have in ways that can be good for our health while not preventing us from things. Yeah, it's kind of neat that we can have tech that does that. Right? I'm not old. Well, not horribly old. But yet, still remember the days of to go into a heart test in a doctor's office. They'd actually have to have you sit there. Well, not sit there, but you'd be stuck in the office for hours on end at your stupid test. And now, a lot more times they can lend out and or rent equipment for a more what they consider trustable test, and then you just bring the equipment back in after the length of testing time, and you just plug into a computer, read it, and go, okay, great, and move on with whatever their results are. They don't have you go off to a lab to get tested. Fantastic. It sounds like we have a lot more time and freedom than we used to, but I think in a way, both good and bad. Because on one hand, it can be freeing, that you've got safeties. On the other hand, some people will take more risks, but for those of us that don't, it can also raise anxiety because we're always monitoring. So you never really know. Decide to pay attention. Aha. Wow.
Hello.
Welcome in, Bruno. Welcome, all raiders. I don't think I've had a raid this large in quite some time, and I'm very, very spoiled.
Hello.
Very, very glad to see you all. Yay!
Hello.
So, first things first, we need... Hey, Bruno, how goes? First things first, I need to get you a shout-out.
Hello.
My magic button. Oh. Magic shout-out. Oh. Short button. There we go.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Great to see you guys could make it. Dropping me by. So today we are doing a little bit more diggy, flatten, which sounds crazy, but I will show you really quickly here what we are up to. So I've got a big spot that I'm flattening out.
Hello.
Oh! Wonderful timing. So, I will just give you a couple seconds to fill, because some of you may be getting ads, and I don't really know how many of you would be. So, we've got, you can sort of see the dotted line border. It's kind of hidden in some places, but this is a 150 by 150 block space. We're flattening it out down to about Y70. When I initially started, we were up in the low 90s. Let me picture back up again. So what we're doing with this space when we're done was we're going to be putting on some pixel art, probably carpets, could be full blocks, I haven't decided, but allergy itches. But we're going to be putting on a stained glass styled picture. Now, I mean, that one's not quite in the right spot, but that picture is designed to reference the mystery book character Brother Cadfael. And Brother Cadfael is a medieval monk from about the 1130s, I believe. And he supposedly was, or like the series takes place in Shrewsbury, England. So my base theme this season has all been about mystery characters, mystery books. We have a couple of references to Agatha Christie with some very large statues. Sorry, back here. So we have a couple of references to Agatha Christie with very, very large statues, and a boat to go with that for Death on the Nile. Overhead view, we've got a really weird janky stripe up top, and that is for Murder on the Orient Express. Just because I was doing the mystery book theme, we have a trading hall that is all about the just a book shape. So it's an open spread book, and then you enter in from the side. A lot of these are just generic farms and such, but we have a bee box, which used to have a farm in it. Bees tend to disappear around here, so after about 4 or 5 rounds, I just gave up. And then this weird looking stripe in the middle is actually from the side. It's a magnifying glass. So that's the bee box, and the magnifying glass are to reference Sherlock Holmes. We're working our way through. Only other major build I did this year was a raid farm on this side, which is almost a janky joke. Well, thank you, Library. Welcome on in. I'm very glad to see you. I'm glad you think it's cool. I always get nervous about what other people think of my builds, just because I don't do builds like a lot of players. I don't, and I'm not at doing redstone. Did a couple of cool little redstone doors as part of a build at Spawn, but that's about it. So this season for me was about, for the first time, actually having a proper theme. That's new for me this season. As well as the season that was also about learning to do things I've never done before. So next season I'm going to do them better, but I'm going to learn to do them. Have an amazing rest of your stream, Bruno, and I will try and drop in on you later this week. So have yourself a great day, and do enjoy. Thank you so much for dropping by. So if you guys haven't, if you've come in with the raid, I'm sure you know Bruno. If you have not come in with the raid and you were here before, Bruno is an amazingly high energy streamer, and I love his style. He's willing to try all kinds of crazy things, and basically he has the guts to do a lot of the things I don't, so it's one of the things I admire him for. If you haven't followed him, do check out his stream. Definitely worth doing. Okay, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, so have a great time, Bruno. We'll see you around. Thank you very much for stopping by and bringing your crew. So I'm on the last of my picks right now. This is actually a named pick I got from PP Zerk. It's version 2, because last month in the Dadcrest 73 Patreon server stream weekend, I managed to let off more than I could chew rather quickly in a raid, and lost all my gear and everything, so had to start over, but that's okay. It was a learning experience. So I'm on the last of my picks right now, and when that one gets low, we'll head back towards the base/village. Thank you very, very much for following, Library. I appreciate it. You too, Bruno. Have a great one. Thank you for following. I always appreciate to have new friends. As I've mentioned to other people, strangers, I like to tell my kids, strangers are mostly new friends you just hadn't met yet. That sounds really janky and cheesy, but it works far more often than I would like to admit. That's one of the things I like to keep in mind, because sometimes it helps me to remember to be friendly to people right off the bat, as opposed to judgmental first. I've had my fair share of that as well. Yeah, new friends are just brand new people. New followers are also new friends that we had never met before they followed, right? Maybe that's not always the case, but that happens quite frequently. It's funny because sometimes I've got sayings like this that I live by, but when I mention them, people are like, "Oh man, that's so corny." But it works, right? It sounds cheesy, but it really does work. So, I start out with a good attitude. It's easy to set good attitude. I just pulled out. Oh. It's not quite full, so I'll just put. Oh, close enough. Alrighty. I'm gonna put away stuff because otherwise I will fill up quickly in its full. Here. I'm not very good at being organized, so to have this stuff organized already, good start, 'cause I'm not gonna stay. 20 after. Get a couple. By the time I decide where I'm going to dig briefly, run out of time. Go ahead and sleep. Sleep now. Yay! So this is pardon me, a quarry that's taking a while. That's of course 150 by 150. It's quite large. But it's actually going to just get bigger. And I know that sounds corny, but we are at Y80, so we have about 10 levels to go down. There are a few spots like this that have holes that go down a little further than 70. I mean, I could go and fill them up now, but then just have to mine it down again. So I went and sort of capped off a portion of the place at level 70, just roughly how much progress we're making. I'm taking out trees as we get to them. But for now, on the map that we were using earlier, there we go, that we've reached the border in the bottom right corner, almost. But the bottom and on the side, we've reached the border there. But it's still stretching up a ways before we're going to get to up on the side. And so, of course, as we mine down, the space gets larger, so each level takes longer and longer to get to. So it is a bit of a pain, and doesn't feel like we're making progress some days. But chatter and the friendship makes it worth it. I actually do, but I do some of the mining off camera, just so that we don't end up with an interminable, an unlimited, that's probably a better word, set of streams where all Dell does all day long is mine. Right? Because that only goes so far, when you've got an end point in sight. And I mean, once I get part of it down to 70, I can make some changes. However, there are times where I've thought about changing the direction I mine, so I don't know if I will or not, but if I mined down to 70 on one spot and then started going in strips vertically instead of horizontally, I could probably, when I got bored of mining something down, put in a few of the strips of carpet to start the art. But that, I don't know, that's another way of doing things, so we'll have to see how desperate I get, because that one's just a desperation move. So for those that have just recently come in, I'm kind of curious, and I've been asking this question a lot recently. What's your take on 119? Does it appeal to you, or does it not appeal? If so, what is it that attracts you? If not, Is there anything about it that would make it more interesting? That doesn't make sense. Is there anything that's missing, I think, that would make it more interesting? Or, I guess the if not, why not? In summary, or rather than going on about it, I find 119 does not appeal for me, but that's because I'm open about being a chicken player. I don't have what it takes to feel comfortable going and actually visiting the ancient city, Deep Dark and whatnot myself. I don't mind long journeys, but although our server will be generating new chunks, I don't believe that it's going to be reset anyway. Like, we're not going for trims. We'll be updating, but we're not going for trims, which means that as a person who's chosen not to fly simply because I hack into stuff an awful lot, and I can guarantee derp and death and all that kind of stuff, plenty of other ways without necessarily having to fly. It means that to do a ground-based search for things like mango and mud and whatnot is a rather large undertaking. At the moment, I don't really have any plans that would require those materials anyways, so I just haven't really bothered there, I guess. Froglights are cool, but at the moment, I've got either A, other options, or B, just no plans that really require froglights. So, frogs in general, no real draw yet. They may at some point, but it's not one that got me all wound up in the hype about things. So, conversely, if hype and excitement at 119 something you're looking for, by all means, high energy, we're good. But because those things aren't for high draws for me, so that on the whole 119 turned out to be kind of meh, I will definitely be watching other streamers who are into that content. It's just not what I'm doing. So I've chosen alternatively to, market isn't the word, bill my stream more as somewhat predictable safe haven from the 119 hype madness. Some people are getting really wired and really wound up about the whole thing, and there's opinions left, right, and center over various different elements of the new update. And controversy is cool and all, the right place, but I don't really have anything controversial to say about 19. Either way, either good or bad. It doesn't thrill, but it doesn't annoy me either. So, I guess maybe what it also came down to was when the 119 hype was hitting, as a streamer, one has to sit down and ask themselves, what does this mean to me? And do I feel I need to change what I'm up to or what my streaming plans had been to accommodate? And I just decided I wasn't going to. Part of it is because I'm a little bullheaded and want to work on this stained glass art, the carpets and stuff. I'm really, really looking forward to it, and once I get my head wound into something like that, the other thing seems like a bit of a derailment. Pardon me. Acknowledging, of course, though, that it can only go on so long if I'm just going to be digging down for everybody to see, do nothing else, then that's not going to appeal to anybody, and frankly, it's going to bother me. So, there's keeping things fresh and exciting, and then there's watching paint dry, and I'd like to be somewhere in between. Okay? Yeah, so that's my, I guess, rant version. But I mean, I do like to hear about what other people's opinions are, what you guys think of what some of the people like Bruno have been doing in their streams, and whether or not 119 is something that you're looking forward to play. I do want to hear what other people are up to, what they think of the whole thing. I haven't exactly been hiding from it, I just haven't been putting out effort to get super knowledgeable on the general vibe in terms of what the community thinks. Yeah, that's the question. When you guys came in, we were talking about merits of various pieces of technology, such as the Apple Watch, and some of the benefits to wearing them. Some of the, not talked about drawbacks yet, but we've definitely the benefits, being able to have wearable tech on you, how it's helped some of our members of the community, and one of the pieces that you may have just heard. Not want to derail heavily, but it was definitely worth welcoming in everybody, and frankly, I'm surprised. Because, of course, plenty of times the little streamers raid the more notable big ones, or at least bigger than us, and I always find it's one of those things I'm glad I'm sitting down when it happens in reverse. That's it. For those of you that to know more, if this is working. Okay, that's the short version of who I am. Who is there? But the longer version is posted on the About page. If you make it through that, you deserve brownie points, because then you know probably about as much about me as I do, on the whole. I have a bad tendency to go long-winded, so particularly when I'm comfortable with people, I will just write it or talk on and on and on for lines and hours. Yeah, feel free to either skip the bio, or if you read the bio, feel free to power skim it. But if you make it through to the end, bonus points. For those of you that sounds very excited about the different horns from the goats. Oh yeah, I completely forgotten about that. They've got new sounds for goats. I remember on the last, I don't know if it was 118 or 118 part 2, but anyways, when they released the screaming goat, I remember Arch Thunder spending lots of time trying to get themselves a goat, and realizing that the likelihood of one of those goats was quite low. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, because as I understood it, getting goat horns a bit on the difficult side. So I'll have to look more into the goat horns, actually, because that could be as the decorative element, but a functional decorative element. So yeah. Sure. Break this down. Goat. That was written down on a piece of paper, but I actually have myself like a big to-do board. I'm not kidding you. Like, this thing is monstrous. So yeah, I do have a whiteboard that sits beside my desk, and that's just stream-related stuff, or whether it be playing in Minecraft related to content, or whether that actually be more of the mechanics stuff. Oh, missed another one. Here, and then while we're doing that, I think that's the one. Maybe not. I've got a ding, and I'm not sure what the ding was about. I don't know. So, yeah. Grade refresh. Ah, that explains a lot. It actually worked. I forgot that I had a, that one actually, I had put a little ring ding into, because it wasn't firing off for a while, so I wanted to make sure that it was correctly out. We are quite low on our tools, so I think now is probably a pretty good time before I break things to just take the piece and head back to base and get a little bit of repairing done, and give you guys a chance to see something a little bit different. Random junk. Dirt. Randoms in, because if I'm wrong and I lose the randoms, it's slightly more useful to have them than it is to worry about the rest. Anyway, eat. Getting after you for that pretty quick here. I don't have my eat monster. I have one person who notifying me every time they thought I needed it. And then they just got busy with back. Yeah, I need to keep on top of that. A hole. Check that out later. I bet you I just went far too close to the illagers. Illagers seem to have no interest. Eek. Okay, so we're back. Quick run. Funny, the banners don't spawn in very quickly. Well, you're at run mode. Are the statues? They are 54 layers high, I believe. And then this is the boat. My interpretation of Agatha Christie's theme ship that she used in Death on the Nile. It is called the SS Karnak. And yeah, banners aren't my forte. That's okay. It's the SS Karnak, based off of a real ship called the SS Scan. Then, kind of fun to stand at the bottom and look up. Got the train, quite long, so running past it very fast. And 3 of the cars are decorated on the inside. Have ourselves at the back. So it's like a lounging car just to hang out, little stuff. The dining car, tables and such. And then this third one is actually a sleeper car with basically, may as well call them little closets because it's itty bitty. Don't look very good in this pack because I did it with dark oak trapdoors in order to get thin walls. But unfortunately, this pack insists on every type of trapdoor, all looking like the oak ones. Actually, there's the iron, and around the other way because one spot I didn't put carpet on. Loose iron? Whoa. Okay, just a little bit. So the gurgling you hear behind was I have a zombie because I was dumb. Long story made incredibly short. I talking to someone who gave me out-of-date information. I completely spaced and didn't pay attention because I knew it was out-of-date information. But in any case, oh yeah, mobs always float. You know, you can use water. And I'm like, uh-huh, great. And it occurred to me far too late that aside from just making a gazillion buckets, hippie. It occurred to me far too late that zombies don't float. They're one of the exceptions. They be ground. But on the bright side, iron farms still work with ground. So there's that. Now, I have a bad habit of this farm overflowing, so this is why it's easy to get squirrel. Get distracted by making iron blocks. But I think that's drive me crazy. Here. Flowers the most. Those. These packs. One of the other perks of having an iron farm is I don't care. Got that many buckets. Not gonna use. Away. Oh, whoops. Goodies box. With any. Pretty. Go and get some tool repair done. So this season I was trying to have theme the book going on. Make much sense anymore. Oh, okay. And very few. That's fine. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Distraction. I was trying to go with the book theme this season. I started out attempting to do a reference for Rex Stout's Hero Wolf. Very large, well, described as 1/7 of a ton, which actually sounds rather heavy. But when you do the math, it turns out that really you're only looking at probably 300 and some pounds. Really, it's not that much. But one of his notable elements was that Werewolf stays in his house and likes to have his breakfast every morning brought to him. Sits around in his yellow silk pajamas, breakfast. But okay, well, let's just try a large statue of yellow terracotta as the pajamas. I really got stuck at the shoulders doing these big 3D pajamas, and ended up hating the statue so much I took it down. So it turned out in the end that was a big waste of time for this season. And I got behind projects. So some of the characters I'm looking at are not easy to figure out how to reference them. Like, we're doing the stained glass for Brother Cadfael because I managed to luck out and find something work. But I want to save building an actual medieval village till next year. Next season. The plan on that's there. But okay. So for Brother Cadfael, we found this class, but one of the other ones I was struggling with was it's G.K. Chesterton's character Father Brown, and so that one is the pipe potentially going to be a bicycle, because the character is known for riding their bicycle around town rather than traveling other fashion. We're here all day. Right. But that's one that's in the pipe after the stained glass because I'm excited about the stained glass, or I'm not so. Other bits, I guess? Oh, it's post 5, okay. Again, who laughed with longer? Breaking guy, where's my books? Breaking. I'm in bubbles. Big sigh. So I have a little bit of a and you blah, blah, English today. Use a mini map, and with that mini map, I have a daytime clock. So the night part of the game strikes at approximately 30. I think. Night strikes at approximately 6:30 in the evening, which means that that it's just easy to get to bed and look over the next day. But sometimes it's a little bit touch and go as to when. Obviously, I could get more out of these if I was actually dumbifying and curing. I just felt that it was a little bit. I mean, it's kind of cheap that I don't even have to mine for the first place. I have enough to get us one. Breaking. 6, okay. But unbreaking, that'll make it last a little bit. Cost 4, of course. Of course it will. Did you guys keep? Well. lapis. Let's use more redstone. Not. Worst case scenario, I can use redstone as a block. Thank you. Goodness. I guess I could have used some of those buckets for lava and just sell the lava bucket. I don't get the bucket back when you. The picks. What on them? Make a map out of this? Good. Let's see. There. Buy one symbols. Good one. 4, because we are short again. That's okay. Iron. Interesting. This is part of why I AFK. The iron farm can build up resources. I mean, if it's not this, it's selling melons. Melon farm. Have a lot of. I'm willing to bet that I've actually been letting a bunch of it decline based on how much was needed. I think. Find these. Just going for a little. As I can. Because I should, but sure. 6. 3 will be fine. Or breaking. Right, I don't. Okay. Breaking more than enough. Back in time. Create them later, so I'll just. Okay. Good one. Corner. Grab the bed. Oh. Grab some stuff. Good. Fish on them and then we're out. For you. 2 for 20. Breaking 2? Let's see 2. This. Here. Okay, we are good. Just about out of time. Okay, anyways. Efficiency. That's okay. For a few shovels to destroy a few redstone here. I hit. Hurt. I'm gonna run over to the other house and just take out the shulkers that are full so that I'm not thinking I have empty shulkers. I'm not going to bother sorting them at this point. That's just stuff we can... Ah. I've got a few. That's fine. Always sort off camera. Not critical. Pardon me. Really wish that I could little mouse click. Okay, we're out. You're out. Villagers approach from this side. Visitors usually approach from this side. With the portal that goes to the nether roof on Java. It depends. So it doesn't look like much when they first arrive. Like you there. And the very large book. Now in vanilla Minecraft, this is actually dark oak up top, I believe. Bottom is, remember, probably yes, acacia. Like all at the moment bottom was. Supposed to look reddish, so it could be acacia. But I may have actually chosen. That's it. Alrighty, Roo. For a lot of people that were following Bruno, it's quite late at night. Them, particularly where he is. So I would not be spend time with their friends and family, and that's a wonderful thing. And we're just about to wrap up here, anyways. Now we're inside the border, so it's really not that far from the base. I have about 5 minutes left, approximately. Then we shall probably raid into one of our fine things. I'm going to see whether or not Huge Stormy Owl is tonight, because after this, she usually streams on Tuesday. Whether she's back. Base. This layer always bothers me right after I move a beacon down, just because stuck. And once again, I forgot to bring torches that hang as it on things. I'll have to do for now. Dark. Dark all night until partly light in the morning, and there's the forecast from Minecraft. The last little bit of diggity road. Those of you that are interested, tomorrow during the morning, I tend to treat Wednesdays as my whatever Wednesday because Thursdays I do Minecraft. And then of course there's a stream and when those in 1 month. But during the regular period I do Tuesdays and Thursdays are Minecraft. The scheduled portion in Eastern US time is noon until 2 p.m. Wednesday's same time slot, well, is my whatever, and this week I've decided to dip my toes into the Valheim realm, and that's just a bit of a different thing for me from Minecraft, even though there's still a lot of, smash face, dig things, build stuff. So, I mean, it's Minecrafty in a way, but the Norse good has really caught my attention. It's a bit of a change from the Myst puzzle series I'd been doing because I got frustrated with it. And thank you very much for dropping by, Livia. I will see you again soon for the rest of your day. If you've got to go, you're always welcome to do the things you need to do. Right? And then if you want just Minecraft, I'm back again on Thursday. Thursday evening this week will not be having an evening stream, even though I'm attempting at a regular slot. I've got a scout thing to do that night. My son, and so that one's not going to be on the radar this week. Yeah, that's the long and the short of the upcoming schedule. Once again, thank you to everybody who dropped by this evening. Thank you to our new friends. Thank you to, we had Ricky Roy followed several hours ago, and I think if I do the math, it might actually be, I can't quite say. But thank you to Library of Characters for the new follow, and thank you again to Bruno and crew for the wonderful raid that dropped in. As always, I very much appreciate the moderators, the Zerks that have dropped by. We have PP ZZ Zerk. They really do make this streaming experience palatable because I can be a little bit hyper-focused, so it works really well to have them on board. They also have a lot of patience with some of the repetitive stuff that I go through. So, yeah, what I would do without them, I do not know, in spite of the fact that I teach the high heaven. So, let's see. I'm showing 4 of the people I follow live. Yep, Huge Stormy Owl is listed as live. She's starting out with words on stream. So I'm just going to actually derail here, head on over just to make sure that we start out on the bed, just because if I don't, it turns out that I will guarantee you it will be next time when I log in next. How things go around here. So yeah, I'm going to deal with that, and then goes off to raid with Stormy. I'm going to head to the end screen first. Get the raid rocking. All right. So we're headed out. Feel free to send them our best. I will be following shortly, and I'll see the rest of you who wish to stay over there. Have a great night.
Mislift managed.